And I've never tried Magic Spoon. This is my first time trying it. That was really good. Cereal is the best thing ever. I loved eating cereal as a kid, even though it was full of carbs and sugar, and that's why Magic Spoon is so great to eat. It has 0 sugar, 11 grams of protein, and only 3 net grams of carbs in each serving, which is only 110 calories. It legitimately tastes fantastic. They have tons of flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry. So just click the link in the description below to grab a variety pack and try it today, and be sure to use the promo code Browntable at checkout to get free shipping. Or you can just go to magicspoon.com/browntable. Again, click the link below and use the code Browntable for free shipping, or go to magicspoon.com/browntable. Thank you Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. They helped make this video possible, and you support the channel by checking them out. In 2018, this amazing little film called Spider-Verse came out, and it completely blew me away. The film took a character I felt was just okay and made him this incredible protagonist that so many people could relate to. That's what made Spider-Verse so great. It prospered in its ideas and its desire to be inclusive. It related to the aspects of our nature that make us human. In 2004, this spectacular film called Spider-Man 2 came out, a film with a personal story about loss, and what it truly means to be a hero, sacrificing the things you want, the things you need, to create a better future for those you care about. And in turn, those around you will support you, your friends, family, and community. And in my eyes, these two pieces of Spider-Man media, besides the countless Miles Morales and Peter Parker comics over the years, influenced Spider-Man Miles Morales, a video game semi-sequel for the PlayStation 4 and 5. And I believe thanks to it taking bits and pieces from the best of everything, it becomes one of the most inspiring games and Spider-Man stories ever made. In Spider-Man Miles Morales, Peter Parker is mentoring Miles, and we can tell that Miles idolizes Peter. He is still learning. He can't drink coffee upside down like Peter can. It's the little things that stand out to Miles. And that's the truth about being an experienced hero. It isn't the fact that you save the world countless times, it's the confidence and charisma that emanates from someone who's used to a certain kind of lifestyle. It's the thing you learn from years of work. And this is who Miles wants to be. There is no better role model. Miles Morales is a teenager who's beaming with potential, similar to Peter Parker when he was a teenager. And the game wastes no time in showing us the difference between the two Spider-Men. From differences in their swinging via playstyle, Peter is more reserved and graceful, while Miles is wilder. His inexperience goes hand in hand with his swinging his arms and legs as he glides through the air. The animation never betrays the character. And once we reach the point where Peter tells Miles that he has to leave New York for a few weeks, the doors are finally opened for Miles. Peter, his mentor, is telling him that he is not only truly Spider-Man in his eyes, but Miles is now
New York's only Spider-Man.
This kid has now been given something he hasn't had before: true freedom, the space to take care of his problems his way. And even though he isn't really sure he's up for it, it's his responsibility. But the issue is that he's never been Spider-Man alone, and he's never experienced the trials and tribulations that come with being Spider-Man firsthand. Because while he saw Peter in the first game face off against a virus infecting New York, he wasn't in Peter's shoes. Now he is, and what he confronts in the game is the clash between what he expects to happen and what actually happens. While his mentor trusts in him, New York does not. They can't put their faith in someone who they've noticed hasn't really done enough for them, at least not yet.
Hey, you think you're gonna add that new Spider-Man too?
Maybe. Original's just my guy, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Miles has only been Spider-Man for a year at this point, and that's one of the most beautiful aspects of Spider-Man Miles Morales, making the city care about you. More specifically, Harlem. The game has optional side missions, which honestly should have been mandatory, as they relate to the main theme of the game, in which you help the people of Harlem resolve problems that they're facing. And all of these missions are sublime. The best part about Spider-Man is that he represents the people. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, remember?
Good work, other Spider-Man. Thanks.
Yeah.
and the way you can interact with your neighborhood and give back to the community, resulting in them giving something back to you, is probably the best thing ever incorporated into a Spider-Man game. And Miles' relationship to Harlem directly reflects his relationship with his Spider-Man persona. Miles isn't sure about living in Harlem after leaving Brooklyn. He isn't sure if he can call it home.
Hey, how are you handling the move from Brooklyn?
I mean, it's fine.
You hate it.
And Miles isn't sure about being Spider-Man. He isn't sure if he can be trusted in that way. And by helping the people of Harlem, you directly improve Miles' confidence in himself. He not only can be Spider-Man, he is Spider-Man. And if he doesn't think so, the people of Harlem, his community, beg to differ.
Who is he?
He's our Spider-Man.
The game actually comments on gentrification. The rich and powerful, in this case, the Kingpin and Simon Krieger of Roxxon, believe the working class to be disposable. Krieger builds his Roxxon skyscraper with his reactor in Harlem. Meanwhile, Kingpin is trying to take over property owned by Harlem residents by force in an effort to take over the area.
Roxxon did this uptown because they saw us as disposable. Me, Rick, Finn, all of Harlem.
And by stopping these villains' schemes, again, you are taking care of your home. You are taking care of its people, and in turn, these people support you.
He's so young.
That's kind of similar to...
He's just a kid. No older than my son.
Due to Rick's demise, Finn, his sister, ends up going to war with Roxxon as the Tinkerer. And this is where we get to the antagonist of the game. The opposing force that goes against Miles hits close to home because Finn is home. She represents everything Miles was and longs to go back to: Brooklyn. The game even has Miles find mementos he and Finn place throughout the city. Some in some really insane places like a Times Square billboard. Like, how the heck did they get in there? To me, the best Spider-Man villains are those that either directly affect Spider-Man or affect the ones around him, and Spider-Man's life is affected through them. Dr. Octopus, the Vulture, Prowler, all brilliant, and here we have Finn. So Finn is Miles' friend, and he of course wants to save her, but she's become this distorted figure. She's literally masked herself away behind a cold metal mask. She's no longer the same as she was before, and that reflects Miles' current predicament. He too wears a mask, but the difference between them is that he wears one to protect the people he cares about, while she wears one to make sure she isn't tied back to her crimes. And the both of them have promises to keep.
I promise to do everything in my power to protect this city.
I promise.
I won't let tonight be for nothing. I promise, Rick.
And that's why Finn is such a tragic character, because she's so similar to Miles. They were given similar circumstances, they took different paths, but in the end, they both ultimately want to save people. Another figure from Miles' past that comes back to haunt him is Aaron Davis, Miles' uncle. And while this version of Aaron isn't even close to being as brilliant as Spider-Verse's, the base idea of the character remains the same. Miles is confronted with a figure from his past that he loves and is betrayed by them. Miles wants Aaron to be more amicable with his mother. He wants Finn to stop being the Tinkerer and go back to her old ways, but just like a radioactive spider bite, some things are irreversible. And the story of the game is him realizing this. Like I said before, what Miles expects to happen is not what happens. He is not experienced enough to understand the reality that comes with being Spider-Man. That is, until he asks Peter this at the end of the game.
Does his job ever get easier?
Some of it, yeah. Some things never get easier, though.
Right there, in this moment, is when we realize that Miles finally understands what being Spider-Man is. He finally realizes what Peter has to sacrifice in order to keep the city safe. He didn't understand it before.
When I got powers, and I thought I'll be able to fix anything. Do anything that Spider-Man does.
Miles coming into his own is not pretty. The guy gets beat up and tossed around again and again, captured and blown up. But Spider-Man always gets back up, as Peter said.
I did this gig for 8 years without backup, and you better believe I screwed up lots of times. But that is how you learn.
The most important parts of this entire game is seeing how Miles responds to failing. Because while he saves people time and time again, he also kinda messed up Rhino's transportation. He blows up the Brooklyn Bridge. His best friend is a criminal, his uncle ends up being a criminal, and he doesn't know what to do, and most importantly, there is no Spider-Man there to support him. And in these low moments, these moments of failure is where character growth thrives. In these moments, we get to see how Miles responds to extreme stress and defeat, and how he overcomes these moments is again what makes him Spider-Man.
Why do you keep fighting?
Because I'm Spider-Man.
Man, that rules. Truthfully, I love this game a lot. It's one of those things where I can relate to Miles so much, how he lives and acts sometimes. Heck, the fact that his mom is Hispanic, whenever Miles speaks Spanish when he's fighting enemies and goes like, "Esto es tuyo?" I giggle with joy because I go, "Oh shit, that's me." Stuff like that, like how one of Miles' actions when he's walking around New York is salsa dance. It hits so close to home for me, and I'm sure it hits close to home for many other players too. And what makes Spider-Man 2 Spider-Verse so great makes this game so great. Miles is us, and we are Miles, and that's what makes Spider-Man Miles Morales so fantastic. We can feel small, insignificant in the face of someone bigger and better than us, but that doesn't mean we can't try to be better. Heck, if we're small, that doesn't mean we can't grow. It doesn't mean we can't affect people in significant ways, because we can. And Spider-Man Miles Morales teaches us that we determine who we are. And no matter how many times we mess up, no matter how many times we fall down, standing up and trying again is what makes you a hero.
You did good, Spider-Man.
Thanks.
Look at this Chad rocking the Browntable merch. Thanks so much, Christian, for the photo. If you haven't gotten merch yet, there's a link in the description where you can get a Browntable logo shirt or a Hope shirt. The protagonist of Interstellar Ranger commence, the anime I'm making. Speaking of the anime I'm making, thanks so much Andre Short, I Think We're Brothers, and Senpai Nene96 for the fan art. It looks so cool, thank you so much. And now, thank you for watching the video. Check out the anime I'm making, Interstellar Ranger commence, in the description below. And now it's time for the Patreon question of the video. So Crooked Glasses asks, what is your favorite webcomic? His is Scurry by Max Smith. So here's something that may be a bit surprising. I don't really read webcomics at all. Like, I know there's a site which has like a bunch of webcomics called Webtoon. I don't do that. In general, actually, I've stopped reading comics entirely. The thing is that I haven't had time to read comics with so much, movies and TVs and games and anime that I consume. And especially with having to make an anime, having to make YouTube videos and going to college, online, but it's still college, it's tough, man. It'd actually be great to get webcomic and regular comic recommendations from you guys in the comments below. I want to get back into The Amazing Spider-Man, specifically Spencer's run. So thank you for the question, and thank you patrons for helping support me. I love all of you so much. If you want to support me, yes, I do have a Patreon. Now thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you all next time.